Thank you.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Boy Scout Troop 140. You may all be seated. Good evening, everyone. Man, we got a packed house tonight. Give yourself a round of applause. I'm Vanessa Baker Latimer, a member of the MLK Planning Committee and Housing Coordinator for the City of Ames, and I am honored to be your MC this evening. Before we get started, I would like to say if we have any elected officials in the audience, whether local, state, or federal, also if we have any military men and women, active or retired, or if we have any service personnel like police, fire, and hospital, please stand because we want to honor and thank you for your service to our community and to our country. Thank you. We also would like to acknowledge our sponsors and thank them. They're listed on the back of your program. Also, we'd like to thank the city staff, Eric Gephardt and Craig Kaufman, and the 2024 MLK Committee, because without them, we would not be possible to have this program this evening. So please give them a round of applause. History tells us that the 2024 marks the 56th anniversary of Dr. King's assassination, and although his death was tragic and violent, he left us a great nonviolent legacy in which to strive to continue to bring greater equality to our communities by ensuring civil rights for all people, regardless of their skin color. He would have been 95 years old today. The good news is that you're present and your participation here tonight honors and celebrates what he fought and died for. And we want to welcome you to the 2024 Martin Luther King Jr. Ames-Story County Community Celebration. So as our program begins, we would start with welcomes. We're going to have greetings from Sabrina Shields Cook, Vice President of the Ames Community School Board, and greetings from Linda Merkin, Board Member of Story County Board of Supervisors, and greetings from Iowa State University, Dr. Wendy Winterstein, President, and then greetings from John Haler, Mayor of the City of Ames, and they will come in that order. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sabrina Shields Cook, and I am Vice President of the Ames Community School District Board of Directors. On behalf of the Ames Community School District, I would like to welcome you this evening and thank you for joining us for the 2024 Ames-Story County Community Celebration in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I'm thrilled to see so many people here this evening. I think this is the biggest crowd I've ever seen, and I've been coming to these for a number of years. I'm especially happy to see so many Ames students and their families here for our little students who are going to perform for us shortly. And they're led by their amazing music teacher, Charles Grimm, who has been doing this for at least 16 years, because that's how many years that I have been attending. We're truly blessed in Ames to have amazing teachers who have devoted their lives to educating children. They provide an incredible service to our community and nation as a whole. MLK Day is the only federal holiday designated by Congress as a national day of service. I know the weather today made it difficult for a lot of folks to participate in the day of service. So if you were unable to participate today, I want to encourage you to look for opportunities to give back to your community throughout the rest of the year. If you're interested in volunteering with students or with our schools, there are many opportunities, including serving as a YSS mentor. I know we have many students right now who are in need of a mentor, volunteering for raising readers, volunteering with our PTOs and booster clubs, and many more opportunities. So as we begin our community celebration this evening, I will leave you with the following from Dr. King. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Thank you again for joining us, and enjoy the program.
Good evening. I'm Linda Merkin, and it's my honor to address you this evening on behalf of the Story County Supervisors. 60 years ago, Martin Luther King Jr. shared his dream with all of us. He declared, "Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice." As Walter Sousa stated in his column yesterday, that dream has only been partially fulfilled. His examples: overt white-only signs no longer exist, marriage between blacks and whites is allowed, and the black middle class has grown. Yet in comparison to white counterparts, we still see the impacts of discrimination. More black women die during birth. More black households face food insecurity. Black students owe more in student loans. Black men receive longer sentences for the same crime, and black families have lower net worth. Dr. King also said, "It's not the violence of the few that scares me, it's the silence of the many." Let us, while celebrating Dr. King's life and the progress that's been made by the efforts of so many, not forget there is still a long way to go. Let us not be silent. Thank you.
Well, it's an honor to be here tonight, and I want to add my thanks and appreciation to all of you for attending this very special event. It is a wonderful opportunity for all of us to come together to commemorate a great leader in our history. It's also an important opportunity for us to reaffirm our commitment to Dr. King's vision to create a community where everyone has the opportunity to flourish. Since our founding in 1869, Iowa State has been striving to be a place where all individuals are welcomed, supported, and valued. This past year, we were reminded of a tragic event in our history. 2023 marked the centennial commemoration of Jack Trice. Decades before Dr. King led the modern civil rights movement, Jack Trice was breaking barriers as the first black student athlete at Iowa State. And though Jack Trice's life was cut tragically short on the playing field, his 21 years were filled with purpose and of lasting meaning to our community. He was not only a gifted student athlete, he was a dedicated student working towards a degree in animal husbandry. And at the October 8th closing ceremony of the 100-year commemoration on Central Campus, I had the privilege of giving Jack's posthumous degree in animal husbandry to George Trice, Jack's cousin. We are proud that George Trice is also an Iowa State alumnus. He is the founder of the Trice Legacy Foundation, and he's made it his mission to support students of color to create their own legacies inspired by Jack. You're going to learn more about this from George, and I'm so honored that George is with us tonight, and that I can say that George Trice is a friend and colleague of mine. While the stories of Dr. King and Jack Trice are different, I believe their legacies share a common theme. They remind us that each of us has a responsibility to do our part, that within each of us is an ability to do big things. Thank you.
Well, good evening and welcome on behalf of the City of Ames. It's my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's celebration honoring Dr. Martin Luther King. We recognize that for many adults, tonight's also the Iowa caucuses, and you had a choice, and we thank you for coming here to join us and attending this event. Actually, Sabrina, you stole some of my comments, but I think it's a good reminder, and I have shared this before. One of the core values held by Dr. King was serving mankind. As she said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? So to honor Dr. King's memory and continue working towards making Ames a more welcoming and stronger community, I'm paraphrasing his quote and ask, what are each of us doing for others in Ames? And Sabrina made some good recommendations, and I'm going to offer a few more. I'd like to encourage everyone to join me in building new relationships with fellow Ames residents, engaging in open and honest conversations with others, and asking what you might be able to do for them. I believe that taking these steps, each of us will help make Ames a more welcoming and safer community, experience a richer and fuller life, and in the same time, honor Dr. King's memory. So in closing, I'd like to thank all the organizers at tonight's event, our distinguished speaker, and other participants. It takes a lot of effort and planning to create this program and make our evening together successful. So once again, on behalf of the City of Ames, welcome to tonight's event.
Thank you to all our welcome partners, the school district, the county, the university, and the city. Thank you so much for your support of this event. It means a lot to us in the community and the committee. All right, now we are ready for our musical selection from the choirs from Meeker, Edwards, and Youth Choir. We'd like to thank Mr. Graham for his dedication year in and year out to have the students perform at this event this year. It's great that they're back again in person. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the MLK Children's Choir.
I'll be brief while you take a couple quick pictures with me out of the way. Thank you so much. This amazed me. I am honored and humbled that this many students came on such a difficult night, difficult weather, and even with a 2-hour delay. So thank you so much for coming out. And students, thank you very much. And I just want to say that every year we do this, I just smile the whole time we're back here. I just get excited when we're ready to go. So thank you for coming out tonight. Students, thank you for your hard work, and remember what we talked about. The reason we're here is not for the cookie, although I heard it was great. The reason we're here is because we talked about how we should treat each other and how we should work together instead of fight against, and how we're so much stronger by working together. And so there are a lot of messages we talked about. And so thanks again for having us out. We have our sign language students up front for the first song. We have 2 songs, Sing About Martin, and then we are the people of the 21st century.
All around
They deserve a standing ovation. Did you just love that they thought about signing so they can talk to other people who cannot hear? I love that. Thank you, Mr. Graham. And the MLK Children's Squad just gave them a new name tonight. I'm just saying, I'm claiming them. And we want to thank the parents for encouraging the children to participate in this event every year. And then when they said they wanted to sign, I was like, wonderful, thank you. Appreciate that very much, parents. Okay, next on our program is, this year marks our 4th annual MLK contest for our area high school students. They had the opportunity to choose whether they wanted to write about Dr. King's letter from a Birmingham jail or their favorite Dr. King's quote. Our winner this evening chose to write about Dr. King's letter from a Birmingham jail. But I want to give you a little bit of background about that letter. Dr. King's letter from a Birmingham jail was written specific to an audience, white Christian pastors. The winning essay, using examples from Dr. King's letter, is also written for a specific audience, white Christians. We recognize that Ames is a diverse community. We hope that those in our community of different faiths and ethnicities can find truths in fighting about injustice and apply them to their own belief system. So I would like to announce our essay winner this year. His name is Eric Anderson. He's a senior at Ames High School, and his essay was entitled, "The More Excellent Ways to Fighting Injustice." Eric.
Good evening. Is that good? In light of George Floyd's death and the civil unrest which overtook the country thereafter, one thing has become clear. The basic principles of racial discrimination, which Dr. King opposed in his letter from a Birmingham jail, are still alive today and worth fighting against. Although we have overcome the evils of slavery and abolished the injustice of segregation, yet injustice is still there. The fight continues, the battle isn't over. Injustice lurks in the bones and structures of our country, taking the form of hatred, racial discrimination, and ignorance to the plight of others. Dr. King claimed, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Our society functions like the wheels of a clock, which must all rotate in perfect harmony for the mechanism to work. Injustice takes the form of rust, subtly deteriorating one of the wheels until it breaks down and stops moving altogether. From the outside, the clock is no different in appearance, except for the strange reason that its hands can't move. But inside, the mechanism is clogged. In our society, injustice is not always obvious. It is the subtle injustice, which no one can see, that is the most devastating. Dr. King sought out this injustice and he took his fight to it. His example demonstrates that it is impossible to sit idly in our own perfect communities and allow others to stumble under the darkness of injustice in theirs. It is impossible to do this because injustice is present everywhere, no matter how hard we try to convince ourselves that it only exists in Memphis or Minneapolis and is therefore none of our business. Because of this, Dr. King developed 4 steps of a nonviolent campaign: determining if there is injustice, negotiation with those who cause it, self-purification, and direct action. Injustice clearly exists in our communities, in our laws, and in our hearts. So we can turn to the next step. Negotiation is a dialogue between 2 parties aiming to reach an agreement. Unfortunately, those who impose injustice are seldom willing to negotiate unless they are prompted by drastic change within the structure of the community. In order to bring that change, we must turn to the process of self-purification. We must examine ourselves to see if we are ready to react to violence with nonviolence and to injustice with justice. After that, we can take direct action. Dr. King marched for the freedom of his fellow countrymen. We can too. Dr. King broke laws that were unjust and then faced the penalty for his actions, responding with peace even in the face of foul violence. He exposed the injustice of those laws and their immorality in the face of the law of God. And by his actions, he showed the greatest respect for the laws. We can too. Dr. King and those with him sought tangible change for this country. They fought to upend the status quo and transform society into a brotherhood without the rust and tension so many were desperate to preserve. We can too. We can foster the existing tension in our societies, creating what Dr. King calls constructive, nonviolent tension that will open the door to negotiation. We can extend our hearts and hands to those around us and make our friendships shine like polished brass. We can go to work scraping the rust off of our society, bringing to light what is unjust and making our communities free and alive. The recipe for success is in the form of Dr. King's letter from jail. But the biggest insight from Dr. King's letter stands on what he insisted is at the heart of all efforts for justice. And what is this thing which Dr. King held so dearly in his letter? What is the lubricant of the clock, the oil which allows its wheels to move in perfect harmony? Dr. King asserted it was love. He claimed that he stood between two forces, one of complacency towards injustice, the other of violent reaction against it, and those who cause it. Then he declared that love was the more excellent way. Love is the engine behind peaceful protest. Love is the key to transforming our communities. Love allows us to keep fighting for what is right, even when all seems lost. Love is the most effective tool. Indeed, it is the only tool we can use to remove those rust stains of injustice and racial discrimination in our communities. Dr. King used the example of perfect love, Jesus Christ, whom Dr. King claimed was an extremist for love, and whom he quoted as saying, "Love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you." Matthew 5:44. We will all adopt some form of extremism, but it is up to us whether that extremism will be of love and justice or hatred and division. The time for that decision is now. We must bring to light the power of love and break the hold of racial injustice in this nation while remembering the powerful principles which Dr. King illustrated as he sat imprisoned but unbroken in a Birmingham jail. Thank you.
And for having the winning essay, he gets a $200 gift card. And thank you on behalf of the MLK committee.
Sorry, we've got a lot of stuff here. Thank you.
We want to encourage students to always participate in our MLK essays or other contests that we have, just to continue to keep his legacy alive in our schools and as we continue in adulthood. So thank you again, Eric, for submitting that essay. Okay, next on our program tonight, and you know, I'm gonna have to tell you guys, we like to present this every year, and we'll continue to, is I Have a Dream video presentation. And the song is called New Day, and it was written and performed by two Ames community leaders, Peter Thompson and Abdul Mohammed. And it's a video that they wrote specifically for this event, so we feel honored to play it again every year because of their just talents to bring this song to life.
Today I woke up, and what did I see? A boy shot, a man cuffed, a woman locked up, and they looked just like me. And on the TV I saw brown babies in cages with No money, no power, and no mama's embrace.
We make the same mistakes. We think we need to live afraid, rising up by keeping others down, but we can work to find a new way. But I also see folks standing up, speaking out and fighting injustice. Though it feels dark now, we won't fear, we'll make it through.
'Cause I can see the dream of a new day living in you, and I can feel the hope of a new day rising in me. But until we get there, let's walk this road together. Stand up for each other until we are free.
To my brother I promise, while it's still cold today, I face the sins of my fathers, and I'll go another way.
To my sister, I'm with you. I'm committed to see your life with no limits. To you were all that you were made to be.
For those a little different by any other name, we're all God's creation, and we love you the same.
And to our children we say, hold on, change is gonna come. We'll fight for you.
We'll fight for you,
and we can do all we can. 'Cause I can see the dream of a new day living in you, and I can feel the hope of a new day rising in me. But until we get there, let's walk this road together. Stand up for each other until we are free. This ain't some feel-good moment. We've got a lot of work to do.
until the promise of freedom is not just for a privileged few.
Let's lift up our voice. We need each other now. A better day is coming, and we can show each other how. 'Cause I can see the dream of a new day living in you, and I can feel the hope of a new day rising in me. But until we get there, let's walk this road together. Stand up for each other until we are free. Stand up for each other until we are free.
It makes me cry every year. This year we decided to take some old and see what they were young and what they've grown up now, because the dream still continues. So thank you, Eric, for helping to put that advanced video up this year, showing the kids and their dream for Dr. Martin Luther King. Next is our Ames Humanitarian Presentation Award, and that'll be presented by Wayne Clinton, who is the chair of the Ames Human Relations Commission. So Wayne, come on out.
Good evening, everyone. What a beautiful sight. I'm going to digress for like 15 seconds and say thank you. Thank you to the parents, the grandparents, and friends for joining us in this special celebration. A few years ago, I was honored to be the keynote speaker, and I talked about the importance of Dr. King and his role in my life, and how, had it not been for the civil rights movement, I probably would have never ended up in Ames to be a teacher and a coach in this community. And so 57 years later, I'm still here and enjoying this beautiful city. And thank you again. Tonight, I'm honored on behalf of the Ames Human Relations Commission. to recognize a special individual. The Humanitarian Award is an award that is given to an Ames resident whose contributions to our community demonstrates extraordinary quality, including efforts to promote diversity, fairness, and equity. So the recipient of this year's award is Carrie McParlin. Carrie, in the nomination speech that was submitted, I'm going to share with you some of the key points that those that have known her, observed her, recognize the outstanding work that she's done over the years submitted to this committee. Carrie has been dedicated to fostering diversity, inclusion, and equity within the Ames community for over 2 decades, while working at the Richmond Center, the Salvation Army, and Good Neighbor. Her lengthy career showcased her commitment to advocating for economically disadvantaged community members. Carrie has consistently championed the rights of individuals, irrespective of their race, nationality, religion, gender, or sexuality, and has played a vital role in advocating for Ames community members dealing with mental health challenges. The Salvation Army historically associated with complex challenges regarding diversity and inclusion, particularly concerning the LGBTQIA community. Carrie's unwavering commitment to inclusivity and her approach to life ensured that every member of the Ames community felt embraced when engaged in the Salvation Army. During Carrie's time as a board member and the president of the Legal Aid Society of Story County, she actively contributed to the development and approval of policies aimed at fostering diversity, inclusion, and equity for all applicants, employees, and volunteers associated with the organization. Carrie's foresight in drafting and securing the mental health block grant in 2008 ensured vital funding for various programs directly impacting the community mental health support landscape. Furthermore, her creation of the Peer Support Program stands as a testament to her innovative contributions, particularly affecting the lives of patients who benefited from this unique initiative. Now, Carrie hasn't seen the words in this nomination, so we kept her backstage so she wouldn't blush too much. But as you can see, she's certainly worthy of being recognized as the recipient of this year's Humanitarian Award. Carrie, please come on out. Okay. Yeah. Let's stand over here a little bit. Get a picture here. I'm going to.
Wow, that's pretty neat. Wow. Well, thank you, Wayne. And thank you, Peggy. I see her in the audience over here, kind of center stage over there. Those are very kind words, Peggy, and I really do appreciate that nomination. You know, and the committee did I appreciate them choosing me as well. This is humbling. You know, I go to work every day and I don't do this for recognition, and I don't do this because I need to be up here on a stage talking to everybody about how great I am or anything like that. But I do have people to thank, and the biggest supporter is my husband, and he came tonight. And my family near and far, and friends. I do have a little cheering club over here on the other side of the gym or the auditorium. So I just, as Peggy talked about, I've done a lot of different work in the community at the Richmond Center with chronically mentally ill adults. And I worked at the Salvation Army with a lot of different people in our community, a lot of great coworkers and a lot of great customers that I've come across in my life with brain injuries and children who were disabled and at-risk teens. And in my current position at Good Neighbor Emergency Assistance, I assist families in financial crises that they never dreamed of, desired, nor did they ask for yet. Each day, they desperately try to make it to the next. So each of these families and each of these individuals I've dealt with, they continue to deal with or have dealt with diversity issues, fairness, and equity in a variety of ways that we can only imagine, and in ways that they never really dreamed of, nor did they ask for. But they do manage every day, and they move forward. What I have learned, though, is there's people out there who will fight for people who are in need, and they'll fight for what's right and what's just. And my job, I see, is encouraging them to have that voice, and if they can't have that voice, I will do that for them. If you've ever received an email from me for my work, you'll know that the very last thing is a quote from Dr. King, and it states, "Somewhere along the way, we must learn that there is nothing greater than to do something for others." So today, my something is to ask you of three things. The first is speak up and out when you see injustices in these areas of diversity, fairness, and equity. The second is to donate your time, your resources, and your energies to meaningful causes in these areas. And the third is to learn about your school board, local, county, state, and federal representatives and legislatures, and how they support these areas of fairness and inequity and diversity, and make sure that your voice is heard, because right now, more than ever, it's important to have a voice and a vote. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you for the Ames Human Relations Commission for making this a part of the Martin Luther King celebration. I think it's an important award that ties in with his legacy. So thank you again, and congratulations, Carrie. All right, our next program presentation is another video presentation. It's called Martin, and it was again written specifically for the Ames Martin Luther King celebration. It was written by Pastor James Huey, and so we are having that played along with our community leaders. So please enjoy.
There was a man who believed in freedom. freedom for every color and skin. There was a man who believed in justice, justice for every one of God's children. There was a man who believed we were all part of one family. I want to be one to hold his legacy. I want to be counted as a one who changes history. I want to be one, one who helps let freedom ring. I want to be one. There was a man who believed in equality, equality for all of mankind. There was a man who believed in victory, victory we celebrate today. There was a man who believed we were all part of one family. I want to be one to hold his legacy. I want to be counted as a one who changes history. I want to be one, one who helps let freedom ring. I want to be one to hold his legacy. I want to be counted as a one who changes history. I want to be one, one who helps let freedom ring. One who helps let freedom ring. I want to be one.
I'm not going to cry. Thank you for all the community leaders who helped not only sponsor this event, but who showed leadership in continuing to support Martin Luther King and his legacy in our community. Next up is our keynote speaker. And our keynote speaker tonight is George W. Trice. I had the pleasure of getting to know George as we worked together on the Jack Trice 100th Commemorative Anniversary Committee. I found him to be passionate, caring, and a creative individual. I'm excited about what he has this year. What I'm excited about this year event is that George has a connection to two great legends that have a lasting impact on his life: Dr. King, and Jack Trice. Tonight, we get to hear about how they both have impacted his life. As you read his bio in the program, you get a lot more about him as well. I am honored to call him a friend, and I would like everyone to please give him a very, because it's cold out, very, very warm Ames welcome to George Trice.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? So a couple housekeeping things. First of all, I know a lot of Ames police are here. I am in the 30-minute zone, so I will keep this brief. The other thing is that parents, I know your kids have to go home, so I will keep this brief. But I just wanted to get those things out of here. So it's my nerves. I've had to rewrite this speech about 5 times, and sitting down here listening to everybody before me, I've had to write it again. So Eric, where's Eric at? Thank you. That's the speech. Good night. This is my second speech of the day. Earlier today, I spoke to the Ames Rotary, so some people have heard some of the things that I may say tonight, and I'm going to try to keep it fresh for them as well. And I'm a movie person, so you'll hear a couple movie references in here, some for the kids that I didn't know there were going to be kids here, but I'm glad I put that one in there, and then some other ones as well. But a movie that I like, and my buddy Brandon's out here, I think he watched that movie with me, Finding Forrester. If anybody remembers that, Sean Connery. And the thing about that movie and why I'm starting with that is because the young man in that movie, he started with someone else's words to find his own. And today, there's been a lot of starting with Martin Luther King's words to find our own. And so that's where I will begin. This speech is called The Path. Earlier, my speech was called Driven, Not Brave, and I'll get to that a little bit, but The Path. And I was supposed to get a haircut. I was supposed to get freshened up for this. Weather changed everything, so thank you for having me out here in this coldest blizzard ever. I've enjoyed being back. It's been a while. But Martin said, make a career of humanity. Commit yourself to the noble struggle for equal rights. You will make a better person of yourself, a greater nation of your country, and a finer world to live in. Mayor John took one of my things about the caucus, so I'll just leave that there. Another definition that I have in here is the definition of the word honor. To honor someone is to value him highly or bestow value upon him or her. The Iowa caucus is tonight. You chose to be here to listen to me. I thank you. Okay, I had that in there. Today, we honor Martin Luther King Jr. because we see value in him. I am here tonight speaking to you because someone saw value in me. I represent the Trice name because someone put a value on that, and that was Ames. I am no politician. I am no Fortune 500 CEO. I am no athlete, not an entrepreneur or role model. I'm a person trying to do more than my part. Adults, I told you I had one here for the kids. You may think this is the cheesiest thing, but kids, do you all remember the movie Robots? Well, you don't remember Robots? You do. So what was the main inventor's name? I'm going to give a what is it? Mr. Bigweld. What did Mr. Bigweld say in there? Do you remember? What was his motto? See a need, fill a need. Dr. King saw a need and felt it was his duty to fulfill it. By fulfilling that need in society, he filled a gap in front of himself. We look back and say, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have played football at Iowa State. I wish I would have played under the lights of Jack Trice Stadium. I was recruited here in 1998 by Gene Smith, who I still talk with. A great man, a great mentor, and he happens to also be from Cleveland, where I'm from. And so we talk about that Cleveland connection. But I was about 5 inches too small and about 75, 80, maybe even 100 pounds too light to play a lineman here, Ohio's small ball. But I do wish I would have done that to contribute. But again, that was not my path. In 1988, Christopher Bennett created the Jack Trice Memorial Statue. That's the original statue from 1988 that you see. And what you see with that statue and that memorial is you see Jack holding his letter in his hands. You see scholarly books on the bench next to him, and you see his football cleats behind him because he was a student. He was a student first, and that's what he came here to do because he wanted to go back down south and teach ex-slaves how to sharecrop. He wanted to learn and take what he got from animal husbandry here in Ames, Iowa, and take that with him down south where his parents were born, where his parents were slaves. My path, again, was as a student. Another movie reference for you, and this is for people my age, maybe a little older. My path was not a direct one. People would call me the Van Wilder of Iowa State. It took me a little while. In my bio, you'll see that I did continue to get my degree from Iowa State. I did go on to get my master's from Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, where I live. 55-degree difference between Phoenix and here right now. And I did go on to get a diversity, equity, and inclusion certificate from Cornell. So I have tried to do my part and do more than my part. So I've just begun to honor Dr. King and Jack Trice, and I'm not stopping that yet. They're expecting me to do big things. I agreed to be here for two reasons today. One, I love to talk. So if you know me, you know I can talk about anything for a long time, and I like to listen and hear myself speak. Sometimes I have to listen before I speak. But also was that it was an honor to be asked to be here in front of you, you up there, you down here. It was an honor to be asked. I lived in Iowa from 2008 to 2010, so I became a resident of Iowa. It became home to me. It's where I became an adult. And I think I got that later in here, but I skipped it and wanted to say it now. Because it was important for me to get indoctrinated into this community because they brought me in. The friends became family, vice versa. This is a hard day for me. One, because we're talking about MLK and Martin Luther King. And today is his birthday, and that's why we celebrated on the 15th. Today is the 9th anniversary of my grandfather's passing. So my grandfather is the reason why I'm here in front of you today. There is no George Trice without my grandfather. And I say that literally. I was born Cleve George Trice, Cleve from Cleveland. Yeah, laugh, it's okay. I decided when I was 9 years old that I wanted to get my name changed. And I wanted to honor my grandfather. I talked about honor earlier. So I went from Cleve George Trice to George Wesley Trice and took my grandfather's full name. Part of that was because my grandfather had no boys. My grandfather wanted to adopt me as his grandson, as his only Trice. Luckily, my mom had no other boys, and so I am the line of the Trices as we know. I was the first Trice in 75 years to come to Ames and go to Iowa State. And again, without George Trice, my grandfather, I would not be here. And George Trice III, my son, and Israel Trice, my son, would not be here to carry the name on and continue on with that legacy and that path. In '97, when I first relearned about Jack Trice and his story, I was committed to going to the University of Michigan. I know my wife's watching this live stream, and she knows this story, so it's okay. My ex-girlfriend from high school was going to Michigan. University of Michigan was 3.5 hours from home. It was close, it was convenient. When I relearned about Jack, it was my senior year, because initially I was 8 years old when I first learned about Jack Trice. 1988, and I had chicken pox, so I could not come. But my grandfather, my Uncle Nelson, and my cousin Chester, they did come to make that trek to unveil the statue. Didn't really talk about it much after that, and then in 1997, my senior year, my football coach saw in the paper that they had renamed the stadium at Iowa State to Jack Trice Stadium. I took the article home. Ma, do you know anything about this? She said, oh yeah, look at this. She went back into her photo album. She had the Jet magazine from that 1988 year where they talked about the 65-year wrong that was now made right with the statue, and that was a story in the Jet magazine. Stevie Wonder was on the cover, and I don't know what month it was, but if you ever look for it, Stevie was on the cover of that magazine. And so that's when I relearned about it. I called Iowa State and I said, left a message, hey, I'm calling. I think I'm related to this Jack Trice guy. My grandfather was there. Can you get back to me? They called me back and said I was a first cousin twice removed, my grandfather, my mother, and then through me. So that's how, you know, I ended up learning more about it. So I said, hey, I would like to come visit. Committed to Michigan, already done. Went to my mom and said, Mom, I'm going to Iowa. I'm going to see Iowa State. She said, not without me, you're not. I was only 17 at the time. But we came out in February. Yeah. I'm from Cleveland. We get lake effect snow. Not this cold. My bones hurt. I'm going back to Arizona on Wednesday. But we came in February, and Tom Hill was the provost at the time, and I was with Tom, went into the stadium, and it was Hilton. They were playing, it was a conference game, so it was something big like Saturday night. It was a conference game during this time of year. And they announced me on the big screen, and after that was done, standing ovation, clapping, and I did nothing but be a Trice. But what hit me were two things. An usher walked up from the floor and came and sat next to me on the stairs next to my aisle seat, and he played with Jack. And he was still an usher at Iowa State at Hilton. And he sat there for 45 minutes. I have no clue what happened in the game. We won because everyone was happy. But I talked to this gentleman for 45 minutes and missed the game, but it was worth it to learn more about what Jack experienced, how he partnered with Jack in that. Because, you know, you look at what we talked about here today about bringing people together. Jack came here because his football coach brought 6 players here. So Jack was one of those 6. Had the coach gone to Alabama, Roll Tide, not really Roll Tide, but had he gone there, he would be an Alabama elephant. What are they? Crimson Tide? An elephant? I don't get it. Side makes more sense. And so when I left the stadium, I'm in the back of the SUV that was taking us around, and people saw me. I had the window down. I don't know. It's February. I don't know why the window was down, but hands clapping, thumbs up, just the smiles and the people's faces that were there, it made me want to be here. So in the fall of '98, I was a student on campus here. Campus was 75 years ago. My cousin died. I had no path set. I was just here. I just knew it's kind of where I wanted to be, and so that's why I was here. Again, it took me a while, the Van Wilder of Iowa State. But at that time, I didn't have the total weight and pressure of being a student athlete. I was just a student. I could choose what I wanted and who I wanted to be on any given day, unlike a student athlete that's out there putting themselves on the line. So I began to see that because of my last name, I had access and privilege, but I hadn't earned it. I hadn't done anything to get the accolades and get the access that I was getting. Jack, Martin, my grandfather that passed 9 years ago, they did not have that same access. They did not have those same freedoms that I have had in the years that I've been an adult, that I've been able to come and go as I please. Those were the 3 men that I look up to because of what they started, and they paved that path. They started to lay those bricks, and it was cut short because they all died. So their path ended. And now as I retrace their steps, it becomes a journey to find out what their path was and then to forge ahead from that moment. Again, friendlier people than Cleveland, and that's one of the reasons why I looked at that. But I did think that y'all were the nosiest people in the world when I first got here. You all were replaced by BYU, but asking questions, and it was because of the unknown. You didn't know me. One of my roommates graduated with 37 people. There were 37 people in my house at dinner sometimes. And it was just different for me. I'm like, this is just a different kind of thing. This is a different kind of feeling, a different kind of closeness. And I said, friends became family here because people accepted me. I come in town still, and some of those families invite me to dinner. I went to school with their kids, and I'm having dinner with the parents, and the kids aren't there. They're living. The parents want to see me more than their own kids. I'm that kind of person. But again, I started on that path. I started with their foundation. And again, I chose, Iowa because it was home. It felt like home. But again, different than Jack, where I imagine when Jack landed at the Ames Depot behind Cornbread, I don't think he had the same feeling. And you can tell from his letter and the words that he did not have that same experience and that same feeling coming from Hiram, Ohio, and Cleveland to here. And I told you about this morning, I talked about my speech at the Ames Rotary. George, you were there. And it was called Driven, Not Brave. And the reason why I titled that one those words is because I would not have stepped out on that field in 1923, knowing that they didn't want me there. I would not have done the Selma, I would not have marched like Martin did, knowing that people didn't want me there and doing that. I'm not as brave as those men. I don't have to face those same things every day because they started the path and they paved it for me, where I can start at a place where I have those freedoms, I have that access. And so those men are brave men. I talked about Colin Powell and his essence of leadership speech. And I play this for any team that I manage. I've been with Nationwide for 18 years. And one of the things he says is, your team trusts you is if they follow you around the deepest, darkest corner, if not just out of curiosity. It's about that trust. It's about that curiosity. Military, we recognize you all today, brave men and women that protect us and our freedoms. I'm not that brave. Getting there. Sorry. Oh, my thing kind of broke on me. So now I have to wing it for the rest of my speech, which is what I love to do. People that know me, raise your hand, you know how I'm about to do. So that was really what I wanted to get across about the path and about me getting here, about why we are here today. But I also want to touch on something that Eric talked about, and one of the reasons why I feel that it's my duty to continue on. My 9 to 5 is with Nationwide Insurance. My 5 to 9 is my 5 and 10-year-old at the house. And I started a foundation in Jack's name that I do while I'm watching Hallmark with my wife. I know all of the characters. I have my favorites. But that's where I do this work because I don't get paid to do what I do. I just do it because I want to give back. Because I've been afforded opportunities. It doesn't always have to be treasure. It can be your time. And that's what I give. I give the time, and that's why I'm here today. But why I started the foundation, and Eric, you hit on it about George Floyd, an Iowa Stater that ran track here during the time I was here, was on Facebook and made a post where someone made a post where they were comparing and contrasting Jack's and George's deaths. And I took time to read the post, to get where that person was coming from, to read the comments. And I did not choose my words carefully because I didn't want to. But what I said was, don't ever put those two in the same sentence. And the reason why was because one did something negative to get the attention drawn on him. The outcome was unacceptable, but something wrong was done for that chain of events to happen. Jack was a black man in 1923 playing a game. You look at those things and how he walked out there, those are different reasons for why he did what he did. And that was part of the catalyst. It was during a COVID year. It happened right before we got locked down. So all I could do was watch the news, and I hate the news. The caucus is going down. I'm glad I'm not watching that. I just don't like the news because they normally spin something negative. It's always the negative things for the most part that are there. And social injustice, Black Lives Matter. My 7-year-old, he's 11, he'll be 11 next month, but he was 7 at the time and said, "Daddy, what's Black Lives Matter?" So I had to explain to my son, and my son is mixed. My wife is white, but my son is going to always be black. And I had to explain to him what that means for Black Lives Matter and the history behind that. And it was sad to do that at 7, to a 7-year-old. It was too soon. We shouldn't have to have those conversations that early from what they're seeing on TV and not understanding the full brevity of what it is. The next thing that really was the catapult was with my son again. And kids, do you all know who Ryan's World is? Yeah, you do. This little kid makes money. He makes these toys that break in 3 seconds. Kids, cover your ears. They break in 3 seconds, but the kids love them. And I told my son, I am not buying you those things because you only play with one thing out of that mystery box. I said, make your own toys, and then I went to the gym. Came home, my wife said, you need to talk to your son. And I said, why? He said, ask him what he said. So when I left to the gym, he talked to Mom, and again, we had the Black Lives Matter conversation. He said, no one's gonna buy my toys because I'm black. Broke my heart. So I went to Facebook Live, and I don't really do that stuff. I have to do it because I have a foundation, but I went on Facebook Live and said, buddy, can you say that again? And I had to tell people that I shouldn't have to have that conversation, and would you buy Izzy's toys if he made them? I showed him the comments. People saying, I'll buy your toys, Izzy. His name's Israel, we call him Izzy. I'll buy your toys. And at that moment is when I knew I had to do better. So I started on Facebook asking friends to say, hey, I want to start a scholarship fund. Will you give me some money? People started sending me money, you know, and I got like $1,000, went and got a website, went and got an LLC, went and found out how to start a nonprofit, so a lot of trial and error. But I took that and I tried to build something better to give back. I've coached kids from 3 to 11 in all sports, and at a certain point in time, you know that you have to pass them over to somebody that is a true coach, that does know that game, or that knowledge, has that knowledge. And so that's why I go to a certain level with kids, and then I pass them on to someone that can teach them that every kid doesn't get a medal. But I say that to talk about the fact that the path was set for me, and I knew at that moment what I needed to do and how I needed to honor people before me, and it was to give my time and my treasure to help. And so as I close today, all I want us to understand is to do better than we did the day before. If you took 9,000 steps yesterday, try to take 9,001. Try to do better. You might not always succeed, but try to do better. And tomorrow, the question I want you to ask people, because MLK Day is every day, and this has nothing to do with Martin Luther King or Jack, but it has to do with humanity and people. Ask somebody, what's the best thing that happened to you today? If you think about it, that question cannot be answered negatively. There is no negative way to answer that question. What's the best thing that happened to you today? Because sometimes you think about it, did you have a bad day, or did you have a bad moment in that day? There are people that are having bad days. You may have had a moment, but what's the best thing that happened to you today? And build the community that way, because community, family, and education are important. Thank you.
George, thank you for not even hesitating to come and from Arizona, where it's nice and warm, because he says, I'm from Cleveland, I can handle anything. And then he goes, I can't handle this. Okay. But on behalf of the 2024 MLK Committee, we want to present you with this $1,000 check to go towards the Trice Legacy Foundation, an organization that gives scholarships and grants to students, and we thank you for coming tonight. Well, you know, they say all good things must come to an end. We're coming to the end of a great 2024 Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration in Ames, Story County, Iowa. Give yourself a round of applause for hanging in with us and making it a great event. Again, we couldn't do this without our sponsors that are listed on the back of your program, and we just want to thank them for all of their support of this event year in and year out. And before we close, I would like to just take a few minutes and update you on some other Martin Luther King events that are coming up this month. The ISU Campanile is having a concert on Thursday, January 18th at 11:50. So also they're having their annual Martin Luther King Jr. lecture on Thursday, January 25th in the Memorial Sunroom. And you can find out more news and information about all of the events happening in Ames and Story County at the news at iowastate.edu and also at the Ames Public Library website. Also, February was when we start celebrating Black History Month, and we just want to remind people that the NAACP will be having their annual Freedom Fund fundraiser event on February 15th. The event will be held at the Gateway Conference Center, and registrations will open on this Wednesday, January 17th. So you're all invited to come out and help us raise funds to continue the work of not only Dr. Martin Luther King, but everyone in our community that needs help with anything with equity and just learning to enjoy one another no matter what race, creed, or color that we are. And so with that, I would like to invite all of our presenters up to the stage tonight and our MLK committee. Would you guys please come up? Everyone, George, Dr., Mayor, the MLK committee. I'm impressed.
You learn when you deal with it.
Where's our committee members? Again, let's give everyone a round of applause, including our MLK choir for having a great event. And in your program, we have the song, We Shall Overcome, and we invite all of you to stand, and if you know your neighbor, please reach out to them, touch their hand, as we sing a couple of stanzas of We Shall Overcome.